شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه العبد المؤيد والرسول المسدد، حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد، وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وصحابته المنتجبين. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم: وإذا بشر أحدهم بما ضرب للرحمن مثلا ظل وجهه مسودا وهو كظيم أومن ينشأ في الحلية وهو في الخصام غير مبين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. The question of the status of women in Islam is still very relevant, as much as it was 14 centuries ago. This question was opened, was asked 14 centuries ago. Until today, scholars have been trying to answer this question. Where do women fit in Islam? And what does Islam say about women? What does the Quran say about women? How can we explain some laws that some perceive as unjust towards women in Islam? So this is a very sensitive topic, and there are many who ask, why is women's position in Islam this way or that way? Why is it? One of the questions specifically asked about the position of women in Islam is women in the Quran. The Quran's perspective of women. What does the Quran have to say about women? For example, in one verse, we see that Allah Azza wa Jal says, الرجال قوامون على النساء. Men have authority over women. If this translation is accurate, men have authority over women. Some ask, why do men have authority over women? What privilege, what quality or merit do men have over women so that they have authority over them? Of course, this verse requires a lecture of its own, and qawwam does not necessarily mean authority, but it could have other meanings, such as the caretaker of, the protector of, the provider for, the one who watches over, looks after, takes care of. Another verse, it's in the same verse of الرجال قوامون على النساء, which says وَضْرُبُوهُنْ, and beat them. Those whom you fear disobedience from, then admonish them and abandon them in bed. Do not bed with them and beat them. This is also a very, very misunderstood verse in the Holy Quran that some misunderstand and take advantage of to say that Islam demeans and disrespects women. Now tonight, because we are commemorating the departure of one of the most important women in Islam, in Islamic history, as Sayyidah Khadija, the honorable wife of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wa his wife, his supporter, the one who accepted Islam right at the beginning and stood with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and sacrificed everything she had for the sake of Islam. Because we are celebrating the life of Sayyidah Khadija and we are commemorating her departure, it is appropriate to talk about specifically the verses that are most misunderstood in the Quran regarding women. One of those verses is the verses that I began my lecture with. A woman ينشأ في الحلية وهو في الخصام غير مبين. The one who is grown up, who is raised in caring for jewelry, for beauty, for ornaments. The one who is raised to beautify oneself. Can this person have the ability to debate, to argue, to win an argument? Some say that this verse is disrespecting women. It is saying that women are raised to look beautiful. أَوَمَنْ يُنَشَّأُ فِي الْحَلْيَةِ. Women are, it's asking a question. It's saying, can someone who is raised to care for their beauty, to care for their outer appearance, to care for their jewelry, their beauty, their makeup, their outer appearance, their ornaments, وَمَنْ يُنَشَّأُ فِي الْحَلْيَةِ وَهُوَ فِي الْخِصَامِ غَيْرُ مُبِينٍ. Someone who is raised to care for beauty, can this person have the ability to have a discussion, to have a debate, to win a debate, to have a convincing argument? في الخصام غير مبين. خصام is an argument, is a debate. A person who cares for beauty does not have the ability to have an intellectual debate, does not have the intellectual capacity to win an academic argument or a academic debate. Some say, look, the Quran is saying that women care for beauty. That's all they could do, is care for their outer appearance and beauty. And as for their intellectual capacity, they don't have an intellectual capacity. They don't have an intellectual side to them. They can't win a debate. They can't win an argument. Is this what the Quran is saying? Is this what the Quran is literally saying? Some say yes. And this is what we'd like to examine tonight, my dear brothers and sisters and viewers from across the globe. I take you on this journey in the next 30 or less minutes that we have to try to understand this verse. What is this verse trying to say? You see, my dear friends, you can't understand a verse without knowing its context first. What is the verse trying to say? We have to read the verses before it and after it to see what it's trying to say. The verses begin, وَجَعَلُوا لَهُ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ جُزْءًا إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَكَفُورٌ مُبِينٌ. These verses are speaking about the mushrikeen, the people of Mecca, the pagans. The pagans, the verses that we're about to discuss, it is addressing a problem, an intellectual problem of pagans, of paganism, the hypocrisy of pagans. Look at their argument. Look at what they believe in. It shows the contradiction in their belief and in what they say and in what they believe. These verses are meant to call out the mushrikeen. وَجَعَلُوا لَهُ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ جُزْءًا. They claim that some of his servants are a part of him, Allah. Whom? Which servants? Angels. Mushrikeen claim that angels are the children of God. Which sort of children? I will mention to you in a few minutes. We'll take the verses step by step in order to understand these verses. Mushrikeen claim that that the angels are children of God. جزءا منه, they are part of Him. You know, children are a part of you. Our children are a part of us. They claim that angels are children of God. إن الإنسان لكفور مبين. Man is surely kafur, lakafur. He is blasphemous. He is blasphemous. This is blasphemy. This is kufr. To ascribe children to Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah does not have children. And then, أم اتخذ مما يخلق بنات وأصفاكم بالبنين. The mushrikeen claim that the angels are daughters of God. So number one, angels are female. And two, they are daughters of God. Three, that they have sons, but God has daughters. God has children, but all of His children are girls. They're daughters. As for humans, they have sons. They can have sons and they can have daughters. So boys, only humans can have boys. But God only has daughters and girls. أَمِ اتَّخَذَ مِمَّا يَخْلُقُ بَنَاتٍ وَأَصْفَاكُمْ بِالْبَنِينَ. Do you claim that Allah took girls for Himself and He only gave you boys? Or He gave you the boys and He took the girls for Himself? So His creation, His children are only daughters, but you have boys? This is what they claimed. طيب. The Quran says if you claim this, you claim that daughters are the children of God. And of course, when mushrikeen, they say this, they don't mean any disrespect. The Quran tells them, if you don't mean any disrespect, look at your hypocrisy. You claim that you don't mean any disrespect to Allah. You don't wish to disrespect Allah. But look how you do. Look how you're hypocritical. The Quran says if one of you has a girl, if one of you has a daughter, this person is disgraced. You're disgraced. Although the Quran is not saying that having a daughter is a matter of being disgraced. There's nothing wrong with having a daughter or a girl. We have so many hadith that say having a daughter is a blessing in the house. Rasulullah only had daughters. His progeny spread from a daughter and not a son. Fatimah Zahra alayhi salam. But for them, look at their double standard. You claim that angels are daughters of God. God only has daughters. You don't wish to disrespect God. But when you have daughters of your own, you feel disgraced. You feel saddened. You feel gloomy. You feel depressed. وَإِذَا بُشِّرَ أَحَدُهُمْ بِمَا ضَرَبَ لِلرَّحْمَنِ مَثَلًا. And when one of them is bushra, is given the news, given the good news. وَإِذَا بُشِّرَ أَحَدُهُمْ. This is good news. When one of them is given the good news that you have a daughter. بُشِّرَ أَحَدُهُمْ بِمَا ضَرَبَ لِلرَّحْمَنِ مَثَلًا. He's given a daughter, but the Quran says, when one of them is given the good news that Allah has given him that which he has ascribed to God, that which he has ascribed to Allah, which is what? A daughter, because he ascribed angels as daughters to Allah. So when Allah gives him a daughter of his own, ظَلَّ وَجْهُ مُسْوَدًّا. His face becomes dark, becomes sad, becomes muswaddan. You know, when someone is angry or upset, their face becomes red. It becomes dark. But when someone's happy, no, their face glows. A glowing face is a sign of happiness. A dark face is a sign of sadness, being upset. ظَلَّ وَجْهُ مُسْوَدًّا وَهُوَ كَظِيمٌ. And he is angry, he's upset that he has a daughter. But you ascribe daughters to God? What double standard is this? You don't want daughters for yourself, but you ascribe them to God? You see, Allah is not putting down daughters. Allah is calling them out for their double standard. He's calling them out for their double standard. Allah is not putting down women or daughters. He's saying that which you don't want for yourself but you ascribe to God. Why? And then, أَوَمَنْ يُنَشَّأُ فِي الْحِلْيَةِ وَهُوَ فِي الْخِصَامِ غَيْرُ مُبِينٍ. The Quran explains to us why they didn't want daughters. He's actually, Allah Azza wa Jal in this verse is reading to us the mind of the mushrikeen. Why is it that they didn't like daughters? They didn't like women. They were misogynistic. They preferred boys over girls. See, this is how we have to be very careful in understanding the verse. Is the verse telling us a fact? Or is it telling us what the mushrikeen believed and accepted and took as a fact? These are two different things. You see? The verse says, أَوَمَنْ يُنَشَّأُ فِي الْحِلْيَةِ وَهُوَ فِي الْخِصَامِ غَيْرُ مُبِينٍ. The one who is raised in beautification, to care for beauty and ornaments and jewelry and makeup and outer appearance, this person has no intellectual capacity to debate and to argue and to win an argument. وَهُوَ فِي الْخِصَامِ غَيْرُ مُبِينٍ. This person can't argue, can't have an academic argument. Is this what Allah really believes? Is He saying that half of the human population are characterized as such? This is their quality? Or He's telling us how the mushrikeen viewed women. They viewed them as, a group of people that only care about ornaments, beauty, jewelry, makeup, nice clothing, and that's it. Just outer appearance, but nothing from the inside, without having the intellectual capacity. Most likely, it's this, that Allah is telling us how they viewed women. They viewed them as something without value, without intellectual value, without significant value. Women who only care for beauty and ornaments. Yet they ascribed them to Allah Azza wa Jal and said that angels are girls, angels are females, and they are daughters of Allah. The Quran is telling them that if this is your view of women, why do you ascribe them to Allah? If this is your view of woman, it's not saying that this is the view of woman. It's not saying that this is the actual reality of woman. No. It's calling them out on their double standard, on their hypocrisy. It's saying this is how you view woman. Yet you ascribe them to Allah. وَجَعَلُوا الْمَلَائِكَةَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ عِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ إِنَاثًا. And they made the angels, whom are the servants of the All-Merciful, female. أَشْهِدُوا خَلْقَهُمْ سَتُكْتَبُ شَهَادَتُهُمْ وَهُمْ يُسْأَلُونَ. You will be asked regarding this claim, regarding this accusation. First, ascribing the angels to God, saying that they are the daughters of God. They are the children of God. Second, for saying that they are females. Angels have no gender. Angels are not male and female. It's not like human beings who are male and female. Who said angels have a gender for you to ascribe them to the female gender? This is saying without knowledge. It's a claim without knowledge. And you will be held accountable for this. So here, unfortunately, many mufassirin here say yes. The Quran is saying that women grow up in caring for beauty, caring for their outer appearance, they care for the way they look, and they have no ability to argue. They have no ability to prove anything intellectually. They can't win a academic debate. Mufassirin from both schools of thought, Sunni and Shia school of thought, of course not all, They say this is what the Quran is trying to say. Or the Quran is confirming the belief of the mushrikeen that indeed women have no ability to argue or to win an argument. And still, they ascribed female angels to Allah Azza wa Jal. And this is disrespectful to Allah Azza wa Jal. How can they ascribe females to Allah and claim males of their own? This can be found in Al-Qurtubi, for example, from the Sunni school of thought, Shaykh Al-Tusi in Al-Tibyan, that indeed this is how the Quran views women. And because, the verse also entails that women could be emotional, their emotions can take over them, they take over their intellect, while as for men, their intellect takes over their emotions. So that's why a man can win an academic argument, but a female, because of her emotional side and her love for ornaments, for beautification, for outer appearance, she lacks in the intellectual capacity and she cannot win a debate. Of course, this view has been contested. Even if some Mufassirin accept this tafsir, but it can be contested and it can be questioned. This is not what the Quran is trying to say. The Quran is telling us how the mushrikeen viewed women. Yes, this is how the mushrikeen viewed women. They saw them as a being that only care for their beauty, for their outer appearance, for their ornaments, for their jewelry, and they were nowhere near able to compete in an academic debate, in an academic argument. Fil khasam, you can easily win a female, be victorious over a female in a debate, in science and math and in anything. The Quran is telling us how the mushrikeen viewed women. It's not saying that this is how women actually are. There's a big difference between someone who tells you what they view, and someone who tells you what others view, what others think. Sometimes I come and tell you that this is my view of you. This is what I think of you. Sometimes I come and tell you that this is what people are saying about you. This is how people view you. Most Mufassirin are saying that this is the Quranic view. While there are some Mufassirin, and they are right, in that the Quran is not saying this is how Allah views women, or this is how women actually are. This is how the mushrikeen viewed women. You see, because these entire verses are meant to scold the mushrikeen, to call them out for their hypocrisy, to call them out for their double standard. You claim that angels are the children of God, and you claim that angels are daughters of God. You claim that angels are females. You yourselves, you don't like females. You have a degrading perspective of females. You view them as an emotional being that only care for beauty, that only care for ornaments. You don't look at their intellectual aspect. You only see them as objects that need to look beautiful and not to be heard, not to be benefited from their views and opinions. Yet, and when you have daughters of your own, you're upset. You become depressed. You become angry. But you have no problem of ascribing females to God. That being that you look so down upon and degrading towards, you have no problem in ascribing them to God. Is this not a double standard? Is this not hypocritical and hypocrisy? You see? Most likely, this is what the verse is trying to say. Why do I say most likely? Because the knowledge of the Quran, only Allah knows. Only Allah knows what He is actually trying to say. Hence, I say most likely. Because these are all theories. Theories means it's a possibility. It's a possibility. The difference between a theory and a fact is that a fact is a theory that has been proven. Well, with the words of Allah, the only way for us to know is we ask a ma'soom, an infallible imam or a prophet, and ask him, what does Allah mean? Hence I say most likely, because there's no way we can perform tafsir of the Quran and be sure that this is the actual meaning. So most likely this is what the Quran is trying to say. It's relating to us how the mushrikeen viewed women. And interestingly, in Al-Mizan, in other verses, for example, in the verse أَمِ اتَّخَذَ مِمَّا يَخْلُقُ بَنَاتٍ وَأَصْفَاكُمْ بِالْبَنِينَ, He took females for Himself and He gave you the boys. In Al-Mizan, He says أَنْتُمْ تَرَوْنَ أَنَّ الْبِنْتَ أَخَسْ مِنَ الْإِبْنِ فتثبتون له أخص صنفين وتخصون أنفسكم بأشرفهما. He says Allah is trying to tell them, according to Tafsir al-Mizan, that you believe that males are the superior gender and females are inferior. Yet you ascribe the inferior gender to Allah and you take the superior gender to yourself. So Allah is judging them based on how they view women, not based on what He's saying about women. You view women in a negative way, yet you ascribe them to Allah and you claim that angels are women, are females. This is a hypocrisy. But you take boys for yourself. And there's nothing wrong in that the Quran sometimes tells us what the mushrikeen believe in. Yes, there are some verses, it's blasphemous in the sense that it is telling us what the kuffar is saying. It's not that the Quran is teaching blasphemy. No, it's telling us what the Quran, it is telling us what the kuffar, what the mushrikeen are saying. For example, وَقَالَتِ الْيَهُودُ يَدُ اللَّهِ مَغْلُولَةٌ. Jews said at the time, not Jews of today, at the time, Yadullahi maghlula. Allah's hands are, tied. Meaning God can't do anything. Allah has no power. This is blasphemy. But it's telling us what the Jews at the time believed in. So the Quran would tell us what the distorted views of the people at the time. How they viewed women, how they viewed God, how they viewed the cosmos. وَقَالُوا لَن تَمَسَّنَا النَّارُ إِلَّا أَيَّامٍ مَعْدُودَةٍ. And they said, hellfire would not burn us only for a couple of days. This is false, but the Quran tells us what the kuffar believed in. وَقَالُوا لَن يَدْخُلَ الْجَنَّةَ إِلَّا مَنْ كَانَ هُودًا أَوْ نَصَارًا. And they said, no, you cannot enter heaven lest you're Jewish or Christian. This is false. But the Quran tells us what they believed in. Right? In another verse in Surah Yusuf, قال إنه من كيدكن إن كيدكن عظيم. Your deceit is very strong. Kaid is deceit. Treachery of woman is very strong, is very evil. Some say, look, Allah is saying that woman's treachery and evil and deceit is very strong. But is this Allah saying this? Or Azizu Misr or Meliku Misr, the king of Egypt, when Yusuf alayhi salam comes out of prison and he tells him, ask Zulaykha, what happened? Ask her the truth. Was I trying to seduce her or she tried to seduce me? The king goes and asks, and investigates and he discovers that it was his wife that was guilty, not Yusuf. So he says, إِنَّ كَيْدَكُنَّ عَظِيمٌ. Some say Allah is saying in the Quran that all women's treachery and evil is wicked. No, this is the king of Egypt. And he's talking about a specific group of women. So here the Quran is also telling us how the mushrikeen viewed women. Islam came to raise the status of women. One of the things that Islam did, one of the aims and goals of Islam was to change the status of women in the Arabian Peninsula among the Arab. They would bury their daughters alive. Islam came and stopped this genocide, this habit, this infanticide. Women were not given inheritance. Islam came and gave women inheritance. One man would marry over 20 wives, 10 wives. Islam said you cannot marry more than 4 wives. And if you marry, you have to be just. Treat them equally. If not, then you only marry one. So many rights that women were forbidden from, Islam came and gave those rights. Islam says that a woman could work if she wants. She can earn a living. And her money is her own. Her husband, her father, her brother cannot take her money. If she marries out of her own will. No one can force her. No one can force her to marry. A woman is honorable, is respectful. She has rights. As a daughter, she has rights. As a wife, she has rights. As a mother, she has rights. Islam came to raise the status of woman in Islam. And we see this through the life of Sayyidah Khadija alayhi salam, a woman so honorable. Rasulullah honored so much, respected so much, in a way in which he said that ما قام الإسلام إلا بسيف علي ومال خديجة. That Islam did not rise and spread except through the sword of Ali and the wealth of Khadija alayhi salam. Khadija put her wealth for the service of Islam and for the service of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. Rasulullah would always remember Khadija. من مثل Khadija? Who was like Khadija? This is what he would say. Who was like Khadija? She supported me when everyone neglected me. She remembered me when everyone forgot me. When everyone forsaken me. She stood by me when everyone else deserted me. Rasulullah would always remember Khadija. He would send gifts to the friends of Khadija. He loved Fatima al-Zahra and honored her more for the sake of Khadija alayhi salam. Khadija has a very special status in Islam. The first supporter of Rasulullah, the first person to believe in Rasulullah. And the year that she died, as we mentioned several nights ago, when we talked about Abu Talib alayhi salam, the year that Abu Talib and Khadija died was known as Amul Huzn, the year of sadness, the year of loss. And it was that year that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was given the command to leave Mecca and go towards Al-Madinah Al-Munawwara. And indeed Rasulullah migrated to Medina after the demise and departure of Sayyidah Khadija salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayha. I ask Allah to grant us her intercession in the next life and to grant us her ziyarah in Mecca, in Al-Hujun, the cemetery of Al-Hujun, close to Masjid Al-Haram, in this life. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين.
شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه